Everyone to Family Law Now After Hours. Today's topic is, should I wait to get divorced until after the holidays? The holiday season can bring both joy and stress, especially if you're thinking about or going through divorce. Many people ask whether if it's better to delay divorce proceedings until after the holidays to protect family dynamics or reduce emotional strain. Please use the question and answer feature to submit your general comments and questions about the topic. For specific questions about the details of your family law matter, please contact our team directly. The purpose of this series is to discuss general information on separation, divorce, and family law matters. Any information provided here should not be construed as legal advice. Stay tuned until the end, and we will share how you can schedule a free initial consultation with one of our lawyers. To introduce our panel now, my name is Geneva Spencer, and I earned my Juris Doctor degree from the University of Windsor, where I developed a strong passion for family law, mediation, and litigation. As a three-time winner of the Windsor Law Mediation Competition, I'm committed to helping families resolve disputes through empathy and collaboration. I have gained valuable experience working at a non-for-profit legal clinic supporting vulnerable populations and deepening client-centric approaches. Outside of law, I'm also an avid equestrian and a dedicated volunteer with Girl Guides of Canada. I'm excited to be articling with Russell Alexander, and I look forward to applying my skills to support clients through their legal challenges. Next up is Lisa Clark. Lisa is a senior law clerk with over 16 years of experience in family law and joined Russell Alexander in June of 2025. Lisa graduated from the law clerk program at Fleming College in 2009 and has developed a well-rounded understanding of the complexities of family breakdowns. She is a member in good standing with the Institute of Law Clerks of Ontario and recently received her designation as an ILCO certified expert in family law. Raised in Kawartha Lakes and now settled in Peterborough, Lisa enjoys photography, reading, online gaming, and spending time with her cats. Next is Dana. Dana Payton joined Russell Alexander in September of 2024. She began her legal career in 2019 as a paralegal in provincial offenses before discovering her passion for family law in 2021 at a Kitchener-Waterloo firm. As a law clerk, Dana supports the firm's lawyers with all aspects of client files, including correspondence, financial statements, court pleadings, and divorce matters. She's dedicated to providing clients with compassion and attentive service. Dana holds a degree in socioculture anthropology and women's studies from Western University and completed the paralegal program at Fanshawe College, becoming licensed in 2018. Outside of work, she enjoys time with her family, friends, and dogs, as well as reading, cooking, and home renovation projects. And last but certainly not least is Mark. Mark Simpson is an associate lawyer at Russell Alexander, guiding clients through family law with solutions that save time and resources. He previously ran his own practice, gaining experience in trials, mediation, and arbitrations, and now serves as principal to the firm's articling student, me. Mark is also a father of three young teenage boys, is a coach certified up to U13 designations with the Ontario Baseball Association, and enjoys mentoring. He has also served on the Hamilton Road Business Improvement Association board. Outside of work, he serves on the Middlesex Law Association and Oak Ridge's Optimist baseball boards and pursues his passion for health and fitness. So to get started on today's topic, I will get started with the emotional considerations around holiday times. So first and foremost, there is a magnified emotional strain. So the holiday season amplifies these feelings of sort of like loss and loneliness and stress. And for those who are considering or experiencing divorce, this time can really intensify emotions like grief or broken traditions or anxiety about change. Another consideration is maintaining the holiday facade versus authenticity. So for many clients, they feel compelled to preserve like an image of joy and like that holiday cheer, and thus delaying legal steps in some cases. So while it can provide a short-term emotional relief, it may also prolong underlying tension and impede healing. The other consideration is, of course, the impact on children and family dynamics. So children often rely on holiday routines and family togetherness, and introducing divorce before or during the holidays can disrupt this sense of stability and increase anxiety. Careful planning and open communication around schedules can help mitigate some of that impact. And then the final consideration is timing as a reset opportunity. So waiting until after the holidays can afford emotional breathing room during an already stressful time, and it aligns the separation with the natural rhythm of the new year. So conversely, moving forward sooner may help clients begin their emotional recovery without carrying that weight of indecision into the new year. So it really just depends on what you're sort of looking for as you sort of navigate your own divorce, and everyone's different, and timing that works for them is completely personal. So to move on to the next topic, we're going to turn it over to Lisa, and she's going to speak on the impact of holidays on children and family dynamics.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can all agree that the Christmas season is awfully emotionally charged on a good day. But when you're a parent that's contemplating separation or divorce during the Christmas time, children can be especially sensitive to the tension, even if nothing has been formally discussed. The children, like your children, they pick up on stress. Even if you're avoiding explicit conflict, the kids notice the change in your tone, routine, and your energy, and holidays tend to amplify those emotions, so any sadness, worry, or confusion that you're feeling will can feel stronger than usual. And younger children could become clingy or start showing regressive behaviors. Older children will generally may just withdraw or become irritable. Children, they also attach a lot of meaning to holiday rituals, so your tree decorating, Christmas morning routines, annual visits, and if they start to sense that the family may change, they may start worrying about if they're still going to start celebrating that way. Will Christmas feel different, or will one parent not be there? Stability really matters, and the holidays highlight that kind of possibility of traditions ending. There's also could be some increased loyalty conflicts. Children may feel pressure to behave perfectly to keep the family together. They may feel torn between parents if there's any visible tension. Even without any explicit conflict, the children may start taking on a caregiving role and trying to keep everyone happy during the holidays. And changing family dynamics when a parent's contemplating divorce around Christmas, the parents are going to feel increased pressure to keep the peace for the children. There'll be that additional financial strain around gift giving, which could heighten an already existing conflict. Or one or both parents may be emotionally distant, preoccupied with decision making, or feeling guilt about the timing of their decision. There's emotional distance between partners. So, your partners, you may be avoiding deep conversations to prevent conflict during the holidays. Your communication with each other could become short, task focused, polite but distant, but that's still enough for children to notice that something is wrong. And when separation is being considered, some families will shift into distinct patterns where one parent becomes, the fun holiday parent trying to create the perfect experiences, and other partner may withdraw and become irritable or focus on the logistics. And that imbalance can create confusion or resentment for children. There's also that additional pressure to hold it together during the season. You're often going to have these difficult discussions, creating emotional bottlenecking, a tense home environment, short tempers, and avoidance behavior, which can make the atmosphere for children feel unpredictable, even when nothing is officially announced. There's also going to be changes to extended family relationships. Parents, they may avoid the larger gatherings due to tension. Extended family may start noticing the strain and asking questions. Children will notice or may notice missing traditions, skipped events, or awkward interactions. If a separation happens soon after Christmas, children, they're gonna possibly associate their last Christmas with the holiday season, the last time that their family was together, and now they could be feeling confusion about how the next Christmas will work. They're going to develop mixed memories. They're going to have those happy moments layered with tension that they didn't understand necessarily at the time. So that's why managing like your communication, stability, and routines and emotional support during the holiday period is incredibly important and crucial.
Great, thank you so much. Now, Mark, could you take us through, the legal and financial implications of timing?
Of course. Around this time, the holiday year, we have the issues and circumstances as Lisa is touching upon about family spending. And the issue as to whether or not it would be the most appropriate or best timed circumstances right now, given the holidays, to proceed with the separation. There would be possible spending on expensive gifts, as well as the costs involved and associated with finding new accommodations and getting onboarded with new residents and accommodations of that sort of thing. Additionally, if there's tax considerations at play, the timing of any kind of receipts or bonuses, or whether it's the child benefits in terms of waiting. Just say, for example, today is December 9. So if we were to separate today as December 9, we complete our tax return as of December 31, 2025. We're declared as separated. If we wait until January, February of 2026 to separate, then when we have the respective tax returns filed for 2025, if you file as of separated for the end of December 2025, then your benefits may be a little bit more. If you're in a high income situation where you have a spouse who's earning, say, over six figures, and that family income and the benefits are assessed based on family income, then you could possibly, depending on what that separating spouse's income is, you could end up possibly having a lot of potential money that's on the table. If you're going to separate, say, January 10th as opposed to December 10th, it's possible that in certain situations, the benefits could be quite significant, up to over $1,000, for example, depending on that separating spouse's income, leaving the separation, because then at that point, the benefits for the following year aren't assessed based on family income, but assessed on individual income. So that's one consideration as well. In terms of uh, getting back to the holiday time, we look at the waiting versus separating now or separating, say, in the new year. We have financial considerations at play as well with respect of how to balance all of the emotions going involved with possible separation right now with the financial considerations, and that's quite a significant. There's a lot that we're dealing with right now over the next few weeks. So in terms of legal and financial implications for separation now over the holidays, I would think if you can find balance during one of the major holidays of the year, and if it's certain circumstances, and unfortunately, certain circumstances are such that sometimes you need the separation. So there's certain situations that might call for that. We understand that, but in other situations, having regard to the dynamics as explained by Jen and Lisa over this holiday time, coupled with the cost of having to pay for counsel or having to go through financial issues, it would be very taxing. So if right now try to find the balance, try to find some calm through the major holiday, and because otherwise you're possibly looking at financial stress on top of the emotions that have to come along with the families and reconnecting at gatherings and that sort of thing. So I think also I would be remiss if I didn't suggest the separation date. Of course, the separation date is a big one. Separation, for example, on December 27th versus separation on, say, for example, January 4th. It could be quite a significant difference in the way that financials, if one of the spouses deals with drawing money out of an investment account, or for example, over that year, there could be the potential of not of separating. There could be the issue of the amount of money in the account as of December 27th versus as of January 3rd. If you're anticipating a spouse separate, it's possible that some spouses might go about and try to deal with financials on their own. If they do that, then if you're waiting, like one point is to find balance, but the other point is that you have to be careful what you disclose to the other spouse, because if you disclose and tip off that you end up separating, but you're just pausing 2 or 3 weeks, then in reality, that gives them a little bit time to prepare their finances. And if additional week or two, all of a sudden there's money that's in an account, all of a sudden, if you wait a week or two, then the money might be moved from an account. That's the point that it took forever to get at. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you've got the significant, if we're saying balance during the holidays, but at the same time, if you If the other spouse is aware that you may be separating, then that you can't let your guard down from a financial perspective. I think I would be remiss if I didn't cover that into the long-winded answer on that topic. Sorry.
Thank you, Mark. Now, Lisa, could you please speak to the how to manage stress during the holiday season?
Course. And honestly, I do have lots of tips, and I think I think some of these could be used just for managing general stress during the holidays. I don't think you need to be separating necessarily for these to apply. But of course, the holidays are going to intensify these emotions, and you have all these expectations, family traditions, financial strain, social pressures that are coming with the holidays. So just it's important to remember that the goal isn't to create the perfect holiday, it's to protect and manage your emotional well-being during the holidays. And some ways that we can do that. First off, adjust your expectations. Give yourself permission to simplify your traditions. Let go of the pressure of making everything feel the same as before. Just choose what's meaningful to you and skip what feels draining. You also want to set boundaries with others. You don't need to answer all of the intrusive questions about your separation that you're going to get from Uncle Bob and his, friend. You can decline invitations that add stress to you rather than comfort, and limit time at gatherings if your emotional energy is feeling low. Something super helpful you can say to people is, "Thank you for thinking of me. This year, I'm just keeping things low key." Also, you want
Mhm.
to prioritize your routines and stability because divorce often disrupts your sense of normal. So, keeping your consistent sleep, meals, daily routines, even during the holidays. You can also go ahead and create new traditions, even small ones, if you think that'll help. If your long-standing traditions are going to feel painful or they're not going to fit anymore, try new holiday activities, spend some time outdoors, create a new ritual with your children, or just host a low-pressure gathering. Creating these new traditions will help kind of reframe the season in a forward-looking way. Also, give yourself some space to feel. The holidays are going to bring up a lot of grief, guilt, anger, or loneliness. So make sure that you have an outlet that you can really let that out, either journaling, speaking with a counselor, a supportive friend, and allow some time alone, but without isolating completely. You don't want to shut everyone out. Your emotions are normal, though, they are not a sign of failure. Also, avoid overcommitting financially, because separating and divorce, as Mark touched on, is it's going to strain the finances. So instead of giving expensive gifts, you can offer gift experiences, homemade items, set spending limits early, and agree with the co-parent on reasonable expectations to help relieve that kind of financial pressure that's going to significantly lower that holiday stress. As well, in order to help manage co-parenting stress as well, if you have children, confirm your holiday schedules early and put your agreements in writing or in email or on your parenting app. Avoid any last minute changes when possible, because that's just going to add to the unnecessary stress. And focus what is really best for the children, not what is necessarily fair to each parent. A predictable plan is going to help reduce conflict. Also, lean on your support network. You are not alone in the holiday season. You do not need to do this alone. You have your friends, your family, any therapists. If you have any, religious or community groups or divorce support groups, there's help out there, and let people show up for you. Also, prioritize self-care. Make sure you are looking after yourself, getting regular movements, time outdoors, take a bubble bath, read, do some meditation. Just some small daily habits are going to make a really big difference in your daily stress levels. And also, lastly, remember that the season is temporary. The holiday season during the divorce is usually the hardest, but it's just a short period of time. You can go through it, and you don't need to make the holidays special. You just need to make them manageable.
Great advice. Thank you, Lisa. Mark, can you now speak to communicating with your spouse around the holidays?
Yes, thank you. Well said, Lisa. Communicating with your spouse around the holidays in the circumstances of separating from your partner. Um, Communicate with your spouse, separating spouse, in a way that 3 months or 6 months down the road, you can look back and you can look back and be proud of the communications that you've made. At all times, hold yourself a high level of self-respect. and demonstrate respect is the best way to receive respect back. What we do is we want to maintain boundaries. We want to maintain our equilibrium. We want to maintain the positive self-views that we have and self-reflections that we have about ourselves. And in turn, we'll exude respect. And we'll, in turn, the spouse who we're separating from will learn to respect us or understand that we do have boundaries, we do have self-respect, and there's certain ways of not allowing the spouse to push our buttons, even though it actually does, but we don't demonstrate it. Everything is a response, not a reaction. If somebody says something that's untoward or something of that nature, instead of quickly reacting, we take a moment, collect ourselves, reflect, and again, go back to the principle to say we're going to hold ourselves to a high level of respect because we know that the communications that we're engaging in particular where there's children and parenting cases, the way that we speak to the other spouse is the manner in which, in reflection of which, how we might speak to them, to the children about them. So I want to make sure that we can't turn, it's a lot easier just to maintain the balanced perspective going forward than it is to turn to the spouse and have certain treatment to the spouse and turn to the child and have certain treatment about that spouse to the child. Asking a judge to decipher those two circumstances is super difficult. So it's best just to maintain a level of respect throughout and to, respect for the situation. Now, how do you apply that in terms of a family violence situation? What happens if lives are being threatened or very serious circumstances, all of which have probably have had how do you approach that? Well, maintain your self-protection, make sure that you have a safety plan of that nature, and I'm not suggesting that those circumstances don't exist, but where at all possible, we try to maintain a really healthy dynamic within the home that we're in. If we're separating, we don't have to tip off the other person and say, um, sorry, if we're separating, we don't have to kind of surprise the other person. If you're separating, be clear about it, be upfront about it. I didn't mean to go the other way. I apologize. If we're separating, sit down with them. Don't wait for the holidays. If you know that you're separating from somebody now, but you want to separate ultimately in January, that's perfectly fine to be separated, living under the same roof. It's best to not have any emotional games. So the tone of the first communication is a lot of times what's going to set the next steps. And if we're accusatory or blaming the other person or upset about it, we're not careful with respect to how we go about addressing things, then that tone might send them to have certain reactions or responses. But again, we get if something's not working, rather than waiting to discuss, it's best to discuss now. Moving forward, putting in place boundaries and as needed, especially in the more volatile circumstances. Um, and yeah, I would be very careful. I mean, right now, this time of year, a lot of times families getting together with some people that they haven't even seen for about a year or two. It's very nerve-wracking already. To add to that tension through depending on the communications with the other spouse, when they're going out to gatherings and things of that nature, be very careful about the timing of any kind of discussions, the nature of discussions when somebody's going out, because those scars can build and last, and that can turn into litigation dollars that sometimes we could just act with a little bit more compassion for each other. So that would be what I would say about communicating with between those separating spouses during the holidays.
Great, thanks, Mark. And could you
Thanks.
also speak to planning for holiday parenting schedules?
Yes. Schedules in terms of the parenting schedule for the children.
Yes.
Yes. Two or three different ways normally. First of all, with it being a major holiday, it's typically recognized that the regular parenting time during the typical 16 days is going to be suspended. But that caveat is subject to one or both of the parents continuing to be on a regular work schedule, depending on the nature and dynamic of the residential arrangements for the children themselves. But normally, as of school departure on the Friday from the last day of school until Monday, which is usually 2 weeks later, a total of 16 days on the Monday to return to school, that period a lot of times is carved out in some respects. The manner in which it's carved out can vary quite a bit. Um, but you could take the 24th to 25th and then 25th to 26th. One parent gets the 24, 25, the other parent could get 25, 26 on alternating years, one parent having the 24, 25 and odd numbered years, and the other parent having 24, 25 in even numbered years, and just so on. A lot of times the parent who ends up getting the 25th, 26th, depending on the tradition, depends on what the parents are actually conceding with respect to the family traditions, because ultimately the most important thing surrounding making the possible best parenting schedule for children over the holidays, what are the traditions? And as of one parent, if both parents typically celebrate Christmas on the 26th, for example, and there's concessions that are being made, one of the things to offer as a compromise is to use the 31st and 1st. If one parent is preferring the 24th, 25th, the other parent's preferring the 25th, 26th, for example, and then really sometimes you can just leave the 31st, December 31st and the first fall as however it does. But usually in negotiating on the schedule over Christmas, the New Year's Eve gets factored in on consideration if there's not mutual consensus. Um, the uh, the fact that the child's out of school and there's not the transitions at school might lessen the child's needs for transitions between school and each parent's home. So take advantage of that. And by that, if you have the child in one parent's care for the longer, say for example, if the child's usually transitioning about 3 or 4 times a week, one of the reasons why we turn to breaking the 16 days up in larger chunks is because it allows the child to chill, or the children. Instead of going from mom's day, mom's house, dad's house, school, and so on, and all these transitions, activities, and everything, by extending the periods, they get to settle in one parent's home. Every circumstance is different, of course, but in appropriate circumstances, they can have a little bit more of an enjoyable holiday break if they're in one parent's care for a little bit longer period than what they would otherwise do. And that's really some of the I think some of the underlying as to why we end up severing out those 2 weeks during the Christmas and then treating it special is because we know it's special. It's special for the holiday traditions as well. But why is it special for the child? It's like, well, because that's just the child's time to chill. So when you're looking at some of these schedules over the Christmas break where you've got the child's got to get back to mom's because mom's has a cousin that they need to see, and child's got to get back to dad's because dad's got an uncle, brother of his and the child's going to 10 or 15 different occasions or celebrations with different sizes of family. I don't know. I don't know if that would be a break for the child. So it's really important to have those discussions instead of putting all that pressure on the child. It's really important to have those discussions amongst the adults to try to say we're not doubling the amount of family occasions. And if the child had like 2 or 3 family get-togethers now from the separation recently, the child's going to have 5 or 6 get-togethers. I don't think so. It's best for the adults to have those conversations and kind of look at it from the child's perspective. Just to tie into what I'm saying, it's like why would we expand the time during the break? But it's not so we can shuffle the child around. So that's what I would say about the holiday parenting schedules. Like I said, like there's alternating, you can have various setups. You can alternating years, or you can split days, or you can divide the break into certain periods of time. Um, but you want to prioritize functioning and fairness. And ideally, you want to initiate the communications about 3 weeks. You want to allow for 1 or 2 weeks between the spouses to communicate about the arrangements, at least. If you're in court litigation, then you want to give a lot more time than that. Um, if you're having to bring a motion in court, then you need to start that like in October. And basically, in that situation, if you're going through the separation, if you're going through the holidays, how you treat each other now, you're going to be taking that into consideration. Because come next October, if you're going through separation, you're challenging each other with the child's holiday schedule over this holidays of 2025. Come October 2026, good likelihood somebody's probably going to be seeking family counsel to deal with the issues if it's very important. So upfront notice, advance notice, communications, respectful communications, and kind of look at it from the child's perspective, I think would be relevant factors for a holiday parenting schedule.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark. Now, Dana, can you please speak to the pros and cons of delaying divorce proceedings?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of these topics have been touched on. And I think there's a understanding that the holiday season is extremely emotionally charged. And when you're adding in legal proceedings that are adding to that emotionally charged situation, you really have to consider what the best course of action is for you. So some of the pros, so reduced emotional stress. So delaying the steps to take legal action can help keep holidays calmer, maintain families' sense of stability for the children, a sense of normalcy during the holiday season, as it is a very emotionally significant time for children. And I think it can be true for couples that don't have children. You may want to maintain that dynamic and routine traditions with family and friends without the conflict overshadowing those traditions. So protecting the children's well-being, doing whatever is in the children's best interest is always a good path to take. So they're incredibly sensitive. You're having an emotionally charged season with Christmas and with family and all the traditions and all of the extra things that come along with the holiday season. To add in taking legal action, separation can really create instability with children. And then sometimes delaying can also help with settlement discussions. If you're starting during an already challenging time, already emotionally charged time, it can sometimes create more conflict. Sometimes by waiting or having conversations through that period of time, it can help with settlement conversations after the holiday season when you are taking legal actions because you have a clearer head. You're not dealing with those family dynamics. You're not dealing with financial burdens and traditions, stuff like that. And then, of course, there's always the financial side of things. The holiday season often brings with us budget strains and financial burdens with planning and family and gifts, etc. So sometimes waiting can make you more ready financially into the new year. Some cons, so there is the potential for increased conflict during the holidays. So if you're already in the swing of, you're going to separate, maybe you both know you're going to separate, there could already be a lot of conflict, a lot of stress, and delaying it can just put too much pressure on things. It can put too much pressure on the children and too much conflict during that time. It can actually cause more harm than good. And as Mark has previously touched on, so there is an impact on parenting arrangements. Without informal interim agreements or orders in place, parenting time can become chaotic. If there's no clarity or there's last minute disputes over Christmas, New Year's, scheduling, It can become incredibly difficult to manage that, and sometimes filing earlier can help manage that by having some intervention from legal counsel, from the courts, depending on the pathway that your case is taking. And then there's a risk to financial interest. So delaying filing can affect valuation dates, which is your date of separation, access to financial disclosure, prevent early action on financial issues such as support for you or for your children. If one party is financially disadvantaged, waiting may worsen their situation. So if you're, say, a stay-at-home mom and your husband's the one that's bringing in most of the income, then delaying could also affect how your financial situation will come out. And most of all, if there's behavioral issues, so if there's family violence, substance misuse, concerns about parenting behavior, then delaying the process may expose the children or a vulnerable person, such as a vulnerable spouse, to ongoing risk, and the matter would probably be safer to bring forward sooner. So ultimately, deciding whether to delay legal processes until after the holiday season requires balancing emotional, financial, and legal considerations. There's no one-size-fits-all answer for this. The most important is to assess the family dynamics, the urgency of the issues, and the impact on the children. And it's important to prioritize the safety and the long-term well-being of everyone.
Great, thank you so much, Dana. And now could you also speak to how holidays affect court timelines and availability?
Yeah, for sure. So the holiday season is often disrupted with people taking vacation, whether that's court staff, whether that's lawyers, whether that's CAS counsel or OCL, third parties. It can delay getting court dates or having those people be available for those court dates. And it's going to look, starting a court date process in December looks very different than starting it almost any other time of the year. So court closures and reduced available court dates. So most courts operate on reduced hours, such as like closing for the holidays. And there's often reduced staff at the court as well. From people taking vacation. So court dates become harder to get and often get bumped into the new year if there's urgent matters that need to be dealt with. If your matter is urgent, it can be very difficult. Sorry, if your matter is not urgent, it can be very difficult to get a court date in December. It often ends up being in January or later. And so there's also at a certain point in time, certain courts, depending on the court size. So if it's like a Toronto court or if it's like a small court in Brockville, it's going to depend on when they stop giving out court dates for the current year and they start bumping stuff into the new year. And that's going to be true too for if the court needs to make sure that other third parties are available, if counsel needs to make sure there's other third parties available, it can put a lot of stress on getting those court dates. And then you also need to consider filing deadlines. Because if the court's closed or if there's if counsel's away, it can change where those deadlines are and when you need to be filing. So even if you're ready to move forward, sometimes the earliest workable date may be weeks later than you expected them to be, simply due to the scheduling conflicts. So an increase in urgent and emergency matters in December typically do spike because people are arguing about parenting time during the holidays, travel disagreements, denials of access, safety concerns are heightened by the holiday stress, increased contact between the parties. So urgent motions tend to take priority and can sometimes push motions or case conferences that are not urgent into the new year. So slow down in case progression, service of materials. If we're trying to get someone served with an application, there might not be process servers available. The person might be traveling. So it can also delay the progress of your case, and put more stress on that. So the holidays create several obstacles and reduce court operations, limited scheduling windows, increased demand for urgent help, and reduced staff all around can really create obstacles in the timelines and availability for starting your matter before the holiday season. So it's definitely important to consider your situation, your needs, the best pathway forward. And if these delays and timelines are going to affect that as well, and if you can wait till the new year.
Great, awesome. Now I'll briefly touch on some support resources that are available to people going through divorce or separation during the holidays. So one important resource is the Family Law Information Center. So these are located in Ontario family courts, and the FLICs offer free information, pamphlets, court forms, access to duty counsel, and even a referral coordinator sometimes, which can be vital during reduced holiday court schedules. There's also Legal Aid Ontario. So clients who meet the income criteria can receive legal advice, representation, mediation services, and help with matters such as spousal or child support, even during holidays. There are also peer and group-based supports. So these programs are vital, and I certainly encourage anyone going through a separation or divorce to reach out. So there are places or resources like Divorce Care, churches, and community-led peer groups. You can find these on like some community bulletin boards, Facebook groups for your town or city, whatever it may be. And workshops sort of similar. And these can provide emotional and practical supports through shared experiences, which is especially beneficial during emotionally charged holidays. And another one very popular is, of course, professional counseling and therapy. So individual therapists and family counselors offer coping strategies tailored to separation stress. These people, a lot of them will have specialized expertise in families who are separating oftentimes, which is certainly an asset. And these approaches may include trauma-informed therapy as well. And this can help you build resilience through self-care exercises during the holidays, which again, it's always a priority to take care of yourself. By taking care of yourself, you'll be able to take care of those around you. Of course, holidays, it's about, oftentimes community and coming together with families, and you want to make sure that you're doing as well as you sort of navigate that sort of community. And now to finish this off, Lisa is going to give us some tips for self-care and celebration regardless of timing.
Of course. Now, a lot of these are repeats from about managing your stress during the holiday time, so I will just try and summarize some of these. So, of course, prioritizing your emotional and physical self-care, acknowledging your feelings, journaling, reflecting, talking to someone you trust, getting out for some physical activity, maintaining your nutrition and sleep, and trying some of those relaxation techniques, whether it be breathing exercises or meditation or warm baths to promote calm. Everyone loves a good bubble bath every now and again. Also, make sure that your social self-care is really important too. Staying connected with your friends and family, even if it's only virtually. Setting your boundaries, remembering to limit your interactions that drain emotional energy. Create some new connections through support groups or some hobby-based communities. Can also bring some positive interaction. Celebrate the meaningful moments, redefine those traditions, create new rituals, honor yourself, celebrate those milestones like completing paperwork, moving homes, or reaching your personal goals. And celebrate with your children thoughtfully. Keep your celebrations age appropriate, predictable, and emotionally safe. With respect to your mindset shifts, focus on what you can control. You may not be able to control the divorce process, but you sure can control your self-care and what those celebrations look like. And remember that the small moments count, even like little small acts of joy, lighting a candle or cooking your favorite meal, watching a favorite movie can provide some relief and meaning in your life. And also remember to be gentle with yourself. Avoid perfectionism. Give yourself to feel and enjoy, even if everything may not have met your expectations. And of course, seek professional support, as we've touched on, when you feel you need it. The key takeaway here is divorce does not mean you have to stop celebrating or caring for yourself. By intentionally practicing self-care and creating meaningful celebrations, you can nurture your emotional resilience and find moments of joy during that transition.
Awesome. All right, well, I want to conclude today's episode by thanking everybody for tuning into Family Law Now After Hours. After the session, a brief survey will appear, which will allow you to share your comments and suggestions for future topics that you would like us to explore. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. So book now to take advantage of this opportunity for a complimentary consultation with one of our lawyers. Please contact our intake team at intake@russellalexander.com and mention our After Hours series to schedule your appointment. Registration is also now open for our next event, What Should I Bring to My Initial Divorce Consultation? So please go to russellalexander.com/family law now to sign up. And a big thank you to our amazing panelists for sharing their insight today. And thank you to the